Broken things can become a blessing if you let God do the mending. Welcome to Broken to be Blessed Network, where dynamic women will share their experiences that will inspire, and experiences that have turned out to be a blessing. Now here's your host, Samantha McNeil.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Broken to be Blessed Network. Go right ahead and hit that subscribe button and tell your friends and your family to subscribe to Broken to be Blessed Network. We are building a great network right here. This evening, I have a group of ladies with me. Even though the journey might be an emotional one, we believe that it is, in fact, an encouraging and empowering one. And we are hoping and we know and we trust that it's going to encourage you and bless you. And if there's anyone who is on this journey or who going through this situation that the mothers will share, I'm not telling you yet. I hope you will be encouraged. So today I have with me Terryann, Terryann, Sasandra, and Stacia. At this time, I'm going to have them introducing themselves to you, telling you a little about themselves. Let me see who I start with. Go ahead, Terryann.
Hi, good night, everyone. My name is Terryann Scott. I'm a publisher, author, and minister of the word, content creator, likewise, just to name a few, from the island of Jamaica. In my spare time, I can be found reading. I enjoy watching television in my spare time with my family, doing fun stuff such as that. And yeah, my favorite food, fried chicken, rice, and peas, and also French fries. I love French fries.
Okay, Terryann, nice to know. Sasandra.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Sasanadra Smith. I'm from Jamaica. My favorite food, jerk chicken, jerk pork, and fried fish. What I like to do in my spare time, I like to eat and watch movie.
Okay, Sasandra. Okay, Stacia, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Stacia McNeish Brown, and I'm from Hanover, as well as St. James. The food that I like to eat really is anything in fish, fried, steam, roast, and as well as jerk chicken. And what is it that I love to do? I love to listen to music, do the crazy dance, and read.
Okay, do the crazy dance.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. All right. We are going to move right along. As we said that the ladies are going to be sharing their testimonies. They have both lost a child, a very touching and hard thing. And we are going to have them sharing their journey with us, how it has been, how they have coped, and was there a breaking point, and how they really deal with it. We're now going to get into the journey, and we are going to have Terryann share with us first. Go ahead, Terryann.
Thank you.
All right, okay. So in about in the year 2004, not about, I got married to my husband, and shortly after we got married, we decided that we wanted to start a family. So about 3 months after, we became pregnant with our first child. Now we were happy, excited, and everything went well during the pregnancy. And I went into labor the very early the morning of the due date that I was supposed to have her. And that was November 26th. And when I went to the hospital, the nurses were about to change staff. And the thing about it is, I have heard so many stories concerning, so many horror stories concerning having a child and losing a child. So even though at that time, my husband and I, we couldn't afford it, we went outside of our way to have our child at a private institution just to ensure her safety. However, when I arrived there, the nurse who was dealing with me at the time was not very happy to see me because her shift was about to end. And because it was my first child, she thought I was going to take long to give birth. So she dealt with me very horribly, right? Within 4 hours, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. And because I had labor, because I went into labor and it was so fast, what happened was she passed her stools inside of me before the bag was burst because the bag didn't burst by itself. The nurse had to burst it while I was in the pushing process. Now, when she passed her stool, some of that went inside and lodged on her lungs. And it's a situation that's very frequent. Doctors will tell you that it has happened, and it's a case where she could have survived, but because of the nurse's negligence of wanting to go home and all of that, she didn't deal with the child properly. She didn't suction the child properly, and as a result of that, our daughter developed complications. Um, Shortly after giving birth, I just went into the room to get some rest because, I was weak and tired and I was so excited wanting to, get some strength so that once I hold her, I wouldn't have to give her back. So I just wanted an hour or two sleep before I officially met her. But during that time, a nurse came into my room and she asked us, "Have you seen your baby as yet?" I said, "No, I saw her, but I haven't got a chance to hold her or bond with her or anything because I'm so weak from what I've experienced." And she said, "I believe you should go right now and have a look at your child because she's not doing very well." Now, when she said that to me, everything inside of me, I began to tremble. I became even more weak because I didn't like the sound of that. So I got up, I went, I looked at her, and I realized that she was in a critical condition. The thing about it is, too, they said that she needed to be placed on a ventilator, and we tried sourcing a ventilator, but at that time there were only 3 available in Jamaica, and they were already taken. So we were stuck, had no idea what to do. The pediatrician came, looked at her, and was saying, "Wow, she's suffering," and I did not like the sound of that. And the thing is, I was not even able to hold her or to touch her or anything like that because of the condition that she was in. Doctors had advised, do not touch her because she can, panic and start to have more breathing problems and all of that. Long story short, that same night, well, actually early the next day, which was about 1 a.m., which is the same night, but early morning, she died 16 hours after birth due to her complications that she encountered. She was not sick. She was born healthy, and pregnancy, everything went fine. But then now here I am getting this horrific news that, listen, your baby died. That is something that I did not expect whatsoever. And to try to put it in words as to how I felt or what that felt like, I think words would do no justice to how I really felt. A few things happened as a result of that. Number one, my faith in God was challenged completely. I reached a point in my life where I began to question God because I knew for a fact what God could do, but now I was in a point in my journey where I became doubtful because I was saying, yes, God is all powerful, He can do this, but will He? So my faith was now challenged. And to even give you to cut a long story short, the most challenging point in that journey for is going home, the baby, and pulling down the crib and packing away all those toys and clothes that we had purchased for her, as if that was not hard enough. Seeing my peers as well, who I was pregnant with at that time, seeing their child, that was very devastating. But as if that was not hard enough for me, what was the most difficult time was December 3, which was about, what would that be, 7 days after her death. I had to reunite with her again for the funeral service. And just the idea of seeing her again, that was a very devastating moment for me. I did not get to hold her while she was yet alive. I did not get to nurture her. I did not get to feed her. I did not get to touch her or anything. The only time I get to hold her was when she was dead, right? Now I'm going to give you a joke. Well, I can laugh about it now, but when we received that body, where we were living at that time, there's a church right on the premise beside us. We decided that we were going to have a resurrection service. So we called up some ministers and those who we knew who were strong in the faith. And we looked at her in the casket and we prayed. And we believed, we used scriptures. We said, listen, God, you gave women back their husbands, their dead husbands came back to life. We are believing you for this child to come back to life. We could not accept the fact that, hey, listen, God have blessed you with a child and now he has taken it. We have heard stories all along about these things, situations happening, but believe you me, the truth is sometimes we don't expect that it could be us. And when that reality hit us, that we were now in that position where we were mourning the death of our first child, it was so terrible, believe me. And so we spent the entire day in the church praying for the baby to come back to life, and nothing happened. So late in the evening, we drove her to the cemetery, and I'm telling you this, nobody could get that casket out of my husband's hand. So we drove back home with the dead baby in the casket, and we left her in the church that night. It was so hard to let go. And the next day was a Sunday service. So, we gave her official service Sunday, and I said my goodbyes to her because I knew that that would have been it. And as soon as we turned our backs, my mom, she drove off with the baby to the burial yard. And my husband and I, we did not go. It was too painful. It was just too much to encounter at that time. People telling me, listen, don't worry, God knows best. God is in control. None of that could satisfy me because my take was this, listen, I am a child of God. God knows how painful this is. If it's a case where she was sick, as some persons say, you may never know what would happen to her. Maybe better God take her now. If it's a case where she was sick or anything like that, my belief was God could have healed her, right? So none of that wasn't soothing the pain or the agony that I was going through. And what really changed or transitioned me, where I started to regain my focus at that point was my husband. After about 2 weeks of mourning, he's a fighter, so he said, all right, listen, we have to do something now. This is it. She's gone. She's not going to come back. We can't allow this to destroy our lives. And to be honest, I was becoming depressed. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I locked myself in a room. I was not very sociable, all of that. And it could, I believe at that point, it was putting a strain on the marriage because each time my husband saw me mourning, he himself would remember and he would go down. And I realized that there were complications that could have been introduced as a result of me not being willing to let go. So I had to reach that point in my life where I stood back and I evaluated and I said, all right, listen, she's gone. There's nothing we can do about it, but we're young. We have our whole life ahead of us. We also have that blessed hope of meeting her again. You understand, whenever that time comes. And I had to really work on myself to get myself together. And so while it took my husband maybe about 2 weeks to recover and to, he was still feeling it, but, he really grabbed a hold of himself for 2 weeks. Me, I faked it for a while just for his benefit. I mourned silently and privately. And what really helped me to cope was the idea of having another child. That's the only thing that could appease me at that moment. And so we talked about it. And again, I didn't even give my body time to heal, but about 3 months after again, I was pregnant again with my son, who I have now, Judah Scott, and I also have a daughter, Kayla. And I'm very grateful for them. But the thing about it is, when I became pregnant with my second child, that in itself did give me hope. So it brought some ease to the situation. But because of the death of my child, I had another situation where that was a door, an opening door where fear entered my life. I thought everybody around me was going to die. I became a child. I was worried when my husband went out to work, he took long to come back in. I would fret, wonder if something happened. You know, those close to me, I felt like everybody I was going to lose, others who were close to me. And so when I got pregnant the second time with my son, even though it did soothe me a bit, I was also fearful. I cried. I locked myself up and I cried for fear because I started asking the question, okay, is this a case where I'm going to bond with this child and then have this child taken from me again? Am I going to be able to hold this child, nurture this child, watch this child grow up? Will I know what his personality is like? Or am I going to have to suffer loss again? So it was a very difficult period for me to go through, but I tried my best to stay positive. And even though my faith in God was challenged because I understood that God is all powerful, He can do whatever He chooses. But I know the issue, as I said earlier, for me was whether or not God would. However, God brought me through that. I'm able to heal. Last month, my baby girl, she would have been 15 years, right? So that's 15 years ago. And the truth is, every time her birthday came up until she was about 9 years, I would cry on her birthday. I still suffered for about 9 years. I still felt the pain of losing her. Every birthday, I would cry. And what I want to say to persons who might be going through situations like this, because I know that there are other persons on here who needs to share, is listen, life is not over for you. You may be going through a painful, difficult situation right now. You may not appreciate it, but somewhere down the line, you may get a better sense, a better feel of how you can appreciate the situation, the bad experiences that you go through, and use it to help others. And my encouragement would be to find whatever works for you. In my sense, having another child is what would have caused some form of consolation or ease to me losing my first. And therefore, that's what I went for, and God blessed me, and that's what happened. I had another child. Whatever it is for you, if you need the time to heal, take whatever time necessary you need to heal. Take whatever time necessary you need to mourn. But remember, it doesn't stop there. What you do in that process of time is even more important than anything else. Because if you're buying time and you're not willing to accept things that we cannot change, then believe you me, situations like these can destroy us. Because I had to talk to myself mentally, so to speak. Because when I look on the streets, I see mothers walking on the road mad. Why? Because they have lost a child and they're unable to cope. And I realize and recognize that we're no different. You understand? And if we allow things to get the better of us, then we too can be in that situation where we lose our minds, right? So whatever it is that you can do to pass time, whatever you enjoy doing, spend time with people or whatever to take your mind off of things, just do that and trust God in the process. And what that situation did for me as well, it caused me to appreciate the things in life more because sometimes we take the small things for granted. We get pregnant and we feel as though we can go to the hospital, we can give birth and come home with a baby. But my experience taught me otherwise. When I had my two children now, they're 14. Well, my son is going to be 14 next month, and my daughter, she's going to be 11 next year, May, right? What that caused me to understand is that everything we have in life now is a gift. It has taught me to be appreciative, and it has also taught me to become grateful. Now, the healing process, it can be a slow and a long journey, depending on you, depending on how you process things, but one thing is certain, if we learn how to use our time wisely by feeding our minds with positive things and learning how to trust God, sure enough, eventually along the line, we will be healed from whatever we have gone through.
Wow. Thank you so much, Terryann. Oh my God, I tell you. Strength, strength,
Oh my
strength,
gosh.
strength. I tell you. Wow.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing that with us this evening. Okay, Sasandra, go ahead and share with us your testimony and your journey. It's all over to you.
All right, so got pregnant in 2010. Everything was okay up to third trimester, where I had gestational diabetes. So I had to go on bed rest and stuff, but the baby was okay. They did, I think I did more ultrasounds with that pregnancy than my other two pregnancies. She was born in December. I think she wanted to come before her time because I was supposed to do a C-section. So she came the 27th and she was supposed to come the 29th. When she was born, she looked fine. I'm 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 going to assume that they didn't do their in-depth checks with her and stuff, but she seemed fine and went home after 4 days, went to 6-day clinic. I told the nurse that I do not like how she's breathing. And the nurse said, well, that is normal. And my gut feeling was like, nah, this is not normal. Even though this is my first child, I've been around children and I've seen their heart rate and see how they breathe. So the next day, we went to the private doctor and she checked her and stuff. And she said, well, we'll have to send her up to the hospital on an emergency because she has asthma. I was like, asthma? And she was like, yes. So went up to the hospital. They put her on the, what you call that thing? The defibrillator.
The nebulizer.
Yes, that
Nebulizer,
thing.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So normally they're supposed to check after the first round. They didn't check her. They gave her 3 rounds and didn't check her on any of the rounds. The last round, they checked her and they realized that she was actually breathing very fast. So they did the X-ray and the X-ray showed that her heart was really big. I think it was 50 kg, and she was actually bleeding inside. So she had a hole in her heart and she was bleeding internally. She was rushed to NCU and we 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 did not see her after they rushed her up there. They said we have to go home. I didn't want to go home because I didn't want to leave my child. She was just 6 days, 7 day old. I didn't want to leave my child. So I was outside, and based on the fact that I just had baby, I just had C-section, I was encouraged to go home by my mom, by my husband. And so we went home and the doctor said that they would call us. They called us and we went up there. They had her on the breathing machine. They were also trying to take out some of the blood that was flowing inside, trying to get her heart down to a normal size and everything. Seeing the tubes and everything in our nose, in our mouth, it was really devastating to me. But as my aunt always say, you have to be strong even though you're going through. You still have to be strong for the child. And I tried. I it didn't work, but I tried. Um, they told us that things are looking good, so there was hope there. And we prayed and we said, God, can I make such a child go through all of this pain and stuff? And they explained to us like the complications and stuff that would come with it after she come out of the hospital and stuff. On the 8th day, they actually called us early in the morning. We went up there and they were actually trying to resuscitate her because she went. While we were over her and they were trying to do that, I was standing and looking up in the sky, well, in the ceiling, and I actually saw her spirit. Um, And she was there and she was just smiling at us. And I started crying because I knew what was going to happen, but I was hoping that it wouldn't happen. You know, it's my first child and everything. Never wanted that to happen. But they got her back and we were super happy. However, as we left the hospital and reached somewhere down the road, they called back. Um, when we went up there, doctor actually pulled the plug on her, and that was it. Um, I broke down. I broke down so much that I tried to blow breath into her, like literally tried to blow breath in her. And the doctors were saying, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. She's gone. And I was like, y'all don't even understand what's happening here. And they gave us a few minutes and then we went into the doctor and she explained what happened and they can't do anything further and such and such. I couldn't bear going back to the house. I think my break point was when they took me to the house and I saw all the clothes. I saw her crib, everything. And I told him I can't stay here. If I stay here, I'm going to go crazy. Or I probably die. Just take me. And they said, okay, where do you want to go? I wanted to go to my mom, but she had two babies that she was taking care of. So I said, I don't want to see any babies because I'm going to die. I just take me. That's what I want. And they said, all right, let's take you somewhere else. So we went to my husband's aunt and we stayed there the night. And believe us, Tommy, that night I wanted to commit suicide because I said, there's no way that I'm going to live without my child. Like, if she's gone, makes sense. I go then. It took a while for me to actually get over that. Um, every year on her birthday, I cry. Every year when I remember that went up to the hospital. So every year on her birthday, every year on the day that she died, every year on the year that we went up to the hospital, I cried. And I think that went up to about 6, 7 years. Yeah. And after that, I was like, she's still there. She's with me. And I had my second child, Jamal, 8 months after I got pregnant with him. So he was born in 2012. And they would say another child will fill the void. He didn't fill that void, but he filled that void. And I grew to love him and I still loved her. And I made sure that when he was of age, I told him of her. Because a lot of persons will say, oh, them dead, so they're not, in your life. But I think that they're still in your life because they were born and they came. And they're a part of your life. Even if they're dead, they're still a part of your life. And that was it. If I didn't have a strong support system, I don't think I would make it. So that's one of the things that I would tell persons. Make sure you have a strong support system. And even sometimes you don't want to talk. Like, they'll ask you a question, you don't want to talk, you just want to keep it in. But it's good to talk sometimes. Even if you don't have to talk everything at the same time, but sometimes just let out some things. Because if you keep it in like that, trust me, it is going to damage you. It damaged me for about 3 months. I didn't even want to see my husband. I didn't even want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody because if you don't bring back my child, I don't want to talk to you. But with my support system, they helped me through it. And I'm here now with another girl and a boy. I have my peer now, so that's it for me. Um, yeah, it was a journey, but it was a good journey.
Wow, it was a journey, but it was a good journey. So you mentioned that you had a good support system, so that's what helped you to cope. And you do mention your breaking point that you felt as though you didn't want to live anymore.
No.
And you did encourage other ladies who might be going through that situation at this time to not just only keep it inside, but see if you can talk and have a strong support system that you can lean on through that challenging time. And oh my God, it's just strength. It's just a whole lot of strength I see. Thank you so much, Sasandra, for sharing that
No
journey
problem.
with us. I know that maybe for some persons they would have known, but it's the first ever hearing you how you felt and how you have gone through it and how you dealt with it. And I'm sure that this will encourage other persons who are going through such a journey. Thank you again for sharing.
No
Thank you so
problem.
much.
All right, darling.